Okay, so Jerry and I have been running the show for the last 3 minutes, just talking. We're talking to you guys. We're like sharing people's comments,
No wonder
uh,
why I didn't show up.
not realizing that we. Well, okay, I didn't realize. I'm the one that's in charge of the control booth here. I never hit the broadcast button. We did the countdown timer, and the countdown timer ends, and I
We
just assumed.
suck.
Well, I assumed, they made a countdown timer. Maybe it integrates with the service so that when it fades away and it's done, that it just starts the broadcast.
Are we even
No,
on now? Because
we are
it's
on
it's
now.
not showing up. I can't get it
Oh,
to show up.
we're on. It takes a few seconds. There's a delay so that you don't get yourself tripped up trying to listen to yourself. So don't listen to yourself, Jerry.
Right, right. Don't listen. All right, there we go. Don't listen to what I got to say to myself.
Oh, hey,
There we go.
so Bob,
All right, let's do this
no,
again.
no, we don't ever start late. Almost ever. Come on.
Right. We were here for an
Jeez.
hour
Yeah, we
trying
were
to
here. Yeah,
trying
seven
to fix
thirty.
my squashed head.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's go over that. So we get on at like 7:30, just kind of pre-show, kind of talk about what we're gonna do tonight. Gear check is a very important thing. So Jerry turns his camera on, and what do I see on my screen? It's like a kung fu movie. You know how they take the really wide aspect ratio and then they squish it for the old 4/3 TV, screen size. So Jerry's head was squished and like really tall. It was freaking hilarious, and we literally spent a half hour correcting that. He bounced between two cameras, every port on his computer with his HDMI capture stick,
Yeah,
and
I
then
was
we
a little
got
worried.
it. We
I didn't
got
think
it
I was gonna make it, man.
right, and we got it just in time, and thought we were broadcasting. We're sitting here, chewing the fat for like 5 minutes to
Right, right.
ourselves. So, anyways, so episode 143. And based on the title, you can probably guess we're going to get to know Jerry a little bit better. I think that probably,
I'll let us Fago.
I think that probably most of the people that are here in the chat room that are talking, anyways, know Jerry in some capacity or another. But I
Right.
know that based on our analytics, we get about 2,000 listens per episode audio. And a lot of those people probably don't know Jerry. So we're going to
Yep,
take
yep.
tonight's episode. We're going to get to know Jerry a little bit. And
Yes,
yes,
sir.
Seth, every port. Aha.
Every port set. Every one.
So, so if anybody in the audience that's watching has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat on either the Facebook page or the YouTube channel, and we'll get those answered as well. But I'm just going to jump right in and start asking some questions. So Bob says he's never met Jerry in person. Change that. Leave the east side of the state.
I thought right. I thought I met Bob before.
I thought you might have like in Ann Arbor or something at a Camera
Right,
Mall event, maybe.
right, right. Maybe not.
So
So many
let's
people.
just jump into this, Jerry. So let's just talk about how long ago did you get into taking photos? That's a good starter.
All right, there we go. I've been taking photos since I was a little kid. Whether it was with my mother's camera, she had the 110,
Oh yeah,
the little rectangle camera.
yep.
Um, my uncle was actually had a my uncle actually had a photography business. So here's a funny story. I would borrow his cameras. He's got a Mamiya RB67, the medium format old
Hmm.
school film camera. Minolta. He has some Minolta 35 millimeter. Anyway, I borrowed his Minolta one day, and I'm walking around downtown with this camera, and these cops roll up on me, and they really start drilling me about. I was probably about 17, on where I had this nice camera equipment for. They was acting like I stole this shit, man. I was like, yo, come on, man, it's my uncle's, man. They finally ended up letting me go, but
Yeah.
so I mean, I've been taking pictures for a long time. I didn't really get my own camera until probably about 2004, maybe
Hmm.
somewhere around in there. I
Yeah.
finally broke down and bought my own DSLR.
Yep. So let's talk about that a little bit. It's funny because we share a camera in common for our first
Right,
serious
right.
cameras. So you had an Olympus E500.
E500. Yep.
Yeah, very cool. So that was kind of my gateway into photography. I went from, I think at the time I got a free, like 1 megapixel or something digital camera that came with the internet service that I signed up with, Earthlink, way back in the day. They give you a free camera.
Right.
But I ended up getting a big boy camera, big girl camera, big person camera.
Well, before I bought that, I owned video cameras. I used to do video.
Well, that's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about that. So that was something that I learned, kind of early on in knowing you, is that you kind of cut your teeth on shooting video first.
Right. So my buddy was in a band. When I first moved back to Michigan from Minneapolis, I started working where I work now. This is like 2002, I think. He was in a band. He wanted to shoot some music videos. So I was like, at that time, I was actually producing music.
Yeah.
So I had, MPC 2000 drum machines and chord keyboards. And so then I ended up getting rid of all that to do video, right? And so I bought video cameras. So I was trying to record music videos for my buddy's band and stuff like that. And then when I wasn't doing that, I was doing, mini movies, like 10, 15-minute movies, and entering video contests. Those were big back then. That's when amateur video production started getting really popular.
Okay.
And this was back in the mini DV tape days.
Sure.
So what they were doing was, companies would hire, or they would have contests to get basically free commercials. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they would put out this contest. Like I was in ones for Heinz 57 one time. And they picked the winner of the contest, and that was the commercial, and they paid you $5,000.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, $57,000 for the Heinz 57 one.
Nice.
Because if they went to professional video production service, they're going to probably pay $100,000 or
sure.
$300,000. So that was the way of them getting it done cheap. But so I would enter those contests and things like that, and just I got into video. And then it got to the point where I didn't have actors for my videos. You know what I mean? And I was doing the Star Wars lightsaber battles and stuff like that back in the day. And so I was kind of into the special effect thing. Fake blood, gunshots with, blood splats and bullet hits and all that stuff. And so I liked the special effects part of it. So, but I couldn't find actors anymore. Nobody wanted to be in my cheesy movies.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting a camera because I was like, and so I started playing hard in Photoshop. And it was like, I can do all this special effects stuff, and I don't need actors.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and that's what transitioned me into photography.
So you went from video to photography. You jumped in with an Olympus DSLR at the time.
Yep.
And since I've known you, you've kind of done a couple of transitions in your cameras, as far as equipment is concerned. And that just kind of brings up, so we have a question here from Steve. He says that I see both of us, you and I, are dipping into full frame. Just wondering what criteria we use when deciding which camera we're going to use, whether it's full frame or whether it's, micro four thirds. And I'll let you go ahead and answer this one because we're going to do Q&A on you. I'll answer later.
All right. I actually I owned full frame cameras before I came over officially to Olympus. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the first camera don't count. I just grabbed some shit because it was cheap.
Right.
So that one don't count. So after the E500, I bought a Nikon D750. Mm. Right. So I was rocking that a couple years, and then the Sony A6000 came out. And I can honestly say I jumped into the mirrorless game early.
Yeah.
And everybody was bashing me for buying mirrorless cameras, but I'm like, oh, this is the way it's going. You know what I mean? And everybody's making fun of my little bitty cameras and stuff like that. And I'm like, whatever, dude. But so I bought an A6000, and then I moved up to Sony A7 full frame.
Yep.
And then I shot that for a couple years, and I had a Sony A7 II. And that's when I met you guys. And you guys showed me the Olympus stuff. And I was like, yo, that live composite stuff is really cool.
Yep. So when you're going to go out and shoot, let's say you're going out on a shoot, we'll say it's a model shoot because you do a lot of that work. What makes you decide whether or not you're going to grab your Olympus, which I see you just got the EM1 Mark III. What makes you choose that versus your, 45 megapixel A7R2? What makes you decide, which one?
It lighting.
Lighting.
Honestly.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, we know in low light the Sony shines a little more.
Right. Yep.
So if I'm shooting controlled lighting,
hmm
I'll shoot my Olympus.
Yeah.
If I'm shooting natural light, I might lean towards the Sony a little more.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get that extra light off that bigger sensor.
Right. I know I've seen some before and afters of your work when you were using the Sony and you're using ambient light. And it's pretty wild, to see that you can pull the shadows on a person so far up and really make it look like it's just well lit and exposed. And
Right.
really at the end of the day, it is just the dynamic range that you have available through the full frame sensor. But I know that, sometimes you don't need that dynamic range because you do a lot of off-camera lighting. So I guess I see where it makes sense, that lots of times you pack the Olympus gear for that too. Have you ever done any shoots, like if it's kind of wet or just bad weather? And I know you probably grab Olympus for that.
Come on, man, you know me. Yeah, that's a trick question.
Right. I wouldn't trust anything
for landscape stuff. I mean, it's my Olympus all the time. I mean, you can them things are workhorses in the field when it comes to weather and the environment and elements and things like that.
Oh yeah. Nothing does it like that. I've got a shot here in a bit to share that talks about that. A couple of them. Yeah, for sure. So we know that you started off with an E500 after coming from video.
Yep.
And you jumped into the Sony system for a while, from their crop into their full frame. And then we met up that one night at Little Sable Point Lighthouse shooting Aurora and star trails and things like that. You got introduced to live composite. You kind of jumped back to Olympus again. And now you have that and you have Sony. So now you literally have like all the camera systems you've used from day one. You have them all together now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we know a little bit about your background. You've kind of always been around cameras. You've got an uncle who was a photographer. You're taking pictures with your mom's camera. You went into video, into photos now. So let's talk about kind of your introduction to Olympus outside of the night we met. Some of the things that you've done with Olympus. I'd really like to talk about some of the experiences you've had with them. It kind of gives a little background into that you're not just an amateur photographer. I mean, you've got, some credentials under your belt, some things you've done. Do you want to talk about some work that you've done for Olympus in the past that people listening might not know about?
I did a couple advertorials for them, a couple magazine articles. One for PDN magazine, the other one was Outdoor Photography.
Nice.
They shared a couple of my photos and did a little write-up on me. Mainly about the gear I was using and stuff like that. So
for sure, yeah. You said, advertorial.
Yeah, for sure. That was cool. I mean,
yeah. So what was that experience like?
It was cool. It was cool to see your pictures in print like that in the magazine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got a couple of them on my stand over there. I reached out to them and they sent me each company sent me a couple magazines. So.
Nice, very cool. So when they approached you for this, did they have specific photos in mind, or did they want you to send them like a selection?
Yeah, I think it was Paige. I think I talked to about those.
Mm-hmm.
She had me send 5 to 10 photos, and I guess they picked the ones they liked.
Nice. So definitely a fun experience. I think that if you can get yourself published, especially at that level, Outdoor Photographer Magazine, PDN, those aren't exactly the local newspaper. And I'm not knocking the local newspaper because I think any publicity you can get is great publicity, chance to show your work off. But once you kind of get, pushed up into that level, it's a whole different world, a whole different ball game, different exposure. Definitely. So we know your background. We know you've done professional work for Olympus, which is pretty astounding to have that like in your credentials as well. And then now you've kind of moved into, you do a lot of portrait work. And I know we talk about that, repeatedly on the show, but when I met you, you were all landscape. It was a lot of lighthouses because you're on the west side of the state and it was that kind of stuff. I personally kind of want to know what got you into shooting people, and specifically, you shoot pretty much all women. So I'm just curious how you got into like that genre of photography. If it was something you've always wanted to do, or if somebody asked you one time, "Hey, can you do a shoot for me?" and you were like, "This is fun. I love it."
I honestly, my Instagram has changed so much since 2012.
Mm.
I don't know why I do this, dude. I post a bunch of shit, and then I don't like it no more, and I take it all down. And
Yeah.
I post new stuff, and I don't like it anymore. I take it. I should have just left all my stuff up there, man.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times from you.
I can't help it, dude. I just get bored with it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I shoot a lot, and I shoot a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know me, I'm shooting almost every single day.
Yeah.
And I shoot everything. I do street. I do portraits. I do landscape. I do composite photography. I do, you know, in the studio, outside. I'm always shooting something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I just try to mix it up, man. I get in those funks where, okay, I want to shoot. I shot landscape hard for 2-3 years, and I was like, all right, I want to shoot models now. So I'll shoot them for a little while.
Right.
And, you know, and then I always go back to street. I always go back. That's where I started. So I'm always trying to dabble and throw some street in the mix too with everything else. So
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
know. People don't know what to look at when they come to my page. There's so much random shit on there.
Well, you've got a fan here saying they love seeing all the portrait work on your Instagram. So would you say that you've kind of divided up your Instagram and your Facebook page? I know for a while it was Instagram was people, Facebook was lighthouses and landscape stuff, or
I make my money on Facebook. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's where I get my family shoots and my model shoots and my senior shoots and engagement shoots. All that stuff comes from Facebook. So
yeah,
I try to keep the portraits more over there. And then I got a few thousand followers on there. So
yeah,
I think a lot of them are originally there for the landscape stuff. So I gotta you know throw them some lighthouses every now and then too. So
right. Isn't that funny how you could have a stream full of lighthouses, or in my case, like rolling countrysides and barns, and then people will call and say, I love your landscape work. Can you shoot my family? I always think that's just kind of funny.
I've had that happen, yeah.
You know, I'm like, yeah, I can put them in a landscape and I will definitely shoot them. But
Right. And then I get some messages about I don't have any morals.
yeah, so you know, again, that was kind of, I'll be honest, that was kind of the idea behind me asking and specifically mentioning that you do shoot a lot of women. Is that I know in the past you had gotten a lot of heat because, you know,
because I'm a dude. That's why. Women can do it and they say nothing.
Right. So you're a guy. You shoot a lot of younger girls, and I don't mean anything weird or pervy by younger girls.
Nothing like no Joe Biden shit over
but
here.
you know, it's just, you know, it's pretty younger girls, and they're usually like a lot of bathing suits and things like that. So I know you took a lot of heat for that. And I've got a crazy barking dog in the background that I'm gonna have to mute myself. So you go ahead and answer that for right now.
It's always the landscape people that complain about that. You know what I mean? Like they're like, we don't want to see that. We're not here for that. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want to see that, then you can leave. You know what I mean? I'm gonna shoot what I want to shoot. And that's just what it is, you know. That dog's some biscuits or something, man.
Yeah, they're killer Shih Tzus. So don't come to my house unless you want to get your toenails mauled.
Right. So I mean, I don't know, man. I chalk it up. It is what it is, you know.
Right.
I ain't doing nothing over the top, you know.
No. Yeah, for sure.
So if they don't like it, they don't got to be there.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's just one of those things where you're probably going to run into that no matter what. So
for sure.
if you're out shooting street and you're shooting, you know, photos that have, you know, someone who's homeless in them, you're going to have somebody that says you're unsympathetic and, you know, they don't appreciate you sharing that. Or
you know what goes on in the street though when we shoot street shit. People come out of restaurants and hair salons after us.
Yeah, well, I was probably a little bold with that shot, but
right.
Yeah, I don't do that.
It is, man.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess let's kind of move forward and talk a little bit about now. So we know all of your history, your background. We know kind of some of the genres and things that you shoot and you're known for. Can you talk a little bit about any plans you have for, the near
Going
future
forward?
or into next year, things like that? Are there any bucket list things you want to start doing and stuff like that?
I've been dabbling. I've been dabbling in film.
Hmm.
I got about 3 film cameras now. I think. Yeah, 3. And I'm gonna order the stuff. I'm gonna start processing my own negatives and scanning
Nice.
my own film
Yeah.
slides. I don't know, man. I just something about being part of the image from the beginning all the way to the end.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And film makes you slow down because you don't got that many shots. You just can't keep firing it away.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did
I've
that.
shot film for a long time, but I've never developed my own shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. And
Right.
my first experience with film was actually really not that long ago, like 6-7 years ago. And I treated it like digital. I knew what my settings should be, and I just cranked through photos, and I'm like, oh, damn, there goes like 24 shots, and I'm done. I have no idea what anything looks like, and now I got to wait. And I slowed down after that first roll.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
I'm about 2 weeks on a roll of film that I got in my camera right now.
Yeah,
I got
so
about 6 shots left.
that's kind of where I'm at with the roll that's in my my OM1N, is that
Oh, you
I
got one of them? Nice.
yeah, I don't even remember the last time I took a picture with that camera, but it still has that same roll of film in it. So who knows what's coming off of that?
Right.
Oh, maybe when you get to your developing phase or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, we'll do yours for sure.
Yeah. So I really like this response. That your stuff is good and it's respectful. It's people that just let their mind go the wrong way that complain.
All right, of course.
Definitely. There's always going to be a hater. Or people that just don't understand, the direction you're coming from with what you're doing. And, as long as you can just move on, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So cool that you're getting into film. I have somebody that I can send my film to now to get developed, I hope. And so what about plans for later this year? Anything new? Anything in October, Gary? Huh?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We're still deciding. Roswell, aliens, spaceships.
I'm trying to get this guy to settle on a place to go, and we're gonna jet across the country, for just a no holds barred photography.
That's right.
Adventure, just the two of us shooting, and it's just
I need
we've
to
been
set up
talking
some
about it
model
for years.
shoots over that way, man.
I don't want any of that. I just want to shoot the landscapes.
We'll throw them in there, man. Put them in the landscape.
All right. So, do you want to do an image share tonight? Do you have anything queued up that you want to share, or?
I got the 2. I have the 2 images that were used in the advertorial.
Yeah, bring that. Show that. That would be good. That would be good to share.
All right, I gotta remember how to do this, man. You know me. Technical difficulties.
Bear with us, you guys. Jerry's not
Jerry's
seasoned
new.
like Mike yet. Okay.
Jerry's new. Can you see that?
No, not yet.
Oh, what the hell?
It's got to go to share screen.
All right, there we go. Can you see that?
Take care. I see a gray screen. This is what I see.
This ain't gonna work because it's showing up on mine.
Yeah, you need to share the application window.
I did.
Yeah. Share the full screen.
It's showing up on mine.
There you go.
Hold on.
Now you're cooking. Boop.
All right, we're good.
Oh, we were.
There's a delay, man.
Is there?
Yep.
We need to get Jerry into a new computer too. Oi. It doesn't like streaming and
Are we there now?
sharing.
Is it back?
You'll see it pop up here in a second. It was. So this is Jerry shooting pure black kittens in a coal mine on a night with a new moon at midnight. There we go.
Is there?
That's there.
Okay.
I was there that night.
Yes, you were. This is when you guys were all pointing the other direction, and I was like, yo, you guys, the Northern Lights are over that way.
Oh, see, that was just with you guys. I was on the other side of that lighthouse yelling to everybody to turn north because they were shooting the Milky Way.
Right. This is Little Sabo, live composite shot. we were lucky enough to get some northern lights that night, and that's the glow on the bottom.
Nice.
Not much to it. Just I think it was probably like 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I try to run my live composite shots for at least an hour.
Yeah, I don't have the patience for that.
But and then that's probably about 45 minutes. I think that one was.
Yep.
And so that was one from one of the magazines, and this was the other one, lightning shot in Grand Haven.
Interesting.
40 to 150, baby.
All right, it's gonna take a second for it to pop up here.
Oh, dang, they showing up. God dog it.
It will. We'll just give it a second. I just say, interesting, because it bears a relationship to one that I'm sharing tonight.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. If
Yo,
yours
so
loads
slow,
up.
Man.
Doom, doom, doom.
My bootleg connection.
Jerry's poaching the neighbor's Wi-Fi.
I got Chuck E. Cheese internet.
Oh, man. For some reason, it's not just popping up at all.
What? Why don't I just show this
So
one,
strange. I'm just going to say it's a Windows thing. And maybe Bob Panic can jump in and counter the argument.
I've been having problems all night with my internet, dude.
Yeah.
Or with my computer.
No bueno. I'll get you on a Mac at some point. All right. So I'll let you work.
All right, you do your thing, and then mine will pop up sooner or later.
Okay. We'll set a timer. All right. So I'll pop this one up. So this is similar to probably what you were sharing in a way. I think yours was more focused on the fog house at the end. So
Yep.
I'm just trying to share stuff that I've shot since the last episodes. And this was, I think, the same week as the episode. So just really quick, Bob is asking if you're sharing the screen or the app. So he's not sure what you're sharing.
Let me go back.
But so this was, I think, just a few days after the last episode. I saw that there was a chance for some storms to come across Lake Michigan. And just on a whim, just jumped in the car and decided to drive up to Grand Haven. I kind of mocked the thought of shooting in Grand Haven, lightning again after like year after year after year of doing the same thing. But I hadn't had a chance to really shoot lightning this year, at least nothing I was happy with. And there's nothing easier than getting out on the shores of Lake Michigan when a storm is coming in from the west. You've got, dozens of miles of open space to watch the storm come in. So that's what I did here. This one's shot, I think, with the OMD EM1 Mark III and the 12 to 100. That's what was on this shot right here. So EM1 Mark III, 12 to 100. Again, we had the question earlier that was asked from Steve. When do we choose if you're going to bring full frame or whatever? Dude, if it even looks like it's going to rain, it's Olympus every time. I really don't trust anything else as far as weather sealing is concerned. So that's what I did here. I sat out there for about an hour and a half. This shot was taken like within the first 10 minutes of me being there. And it's probably a 10-minute live composite. There were two different lightning strikes. It's kind of crazy. The two big ones that you see on the left and the right of the image, that's actually one strike. That was at the same time. The one in the dead center was a separate one that was about 5 minutes later. So lightning does crazy, far-reaching things. And the next photo, if I can get it to go down. Oh, it's funny. Now I can't get it to go down. Now I'm having trouble. There we go. So we'll get the next one up. So the next one was just like a week after that. I'm sure you probably saw and heard on the news about it's a weather phenomenon called a derecho. It's basically this super intensified, organized line of wind and storms that they kind of build up across the plain states. And this one was, I just read today on a storm chasing group, is the highest recorded wind in a derecho since, I don't remember when, it was like early 80s or late 70s. 140 mile an hour recorded winds from this event right here when it was in Iowa. It blew over giant silo steel, grain bins, just crushed them like they'd been hit by a wrecking ball. So I saw the weather event coming, and I emailed my boss at my day job. I said, "Hey, Alex, can I cut out a couple of hours early today? Do you mind if I cut out early? I'm going to jump in the car and go see if I can get in front of this weather as it's coming." And I had known that it was producing winds in excess of 100 miles an hour on my whole drive there to shoot this. But I didn't care. I messaged a buddy of mine named Ryan that just lives the next town over. I knew he was home. I said, "Hey, do you want to take a drive over to St. Joseph, Michigan and try to catch this weather coming in?" So that's what we did. We got over there. I set up two cameras. I set up an EM1X and an EM1 Mark III. I set one of them up as a time lapse. That was the EM1 Mark III, and the EM1X is what this shot was taken with. And this is just a handheld. This is with the 12 to 100. It's a bracketed shot, so 3 shots at 3 EV each, and it just gives you an idea of the scale of the weather event that you're seeing here. If you had seen it on radar, it stretched for hundreds and hundreds of miles from north to south. So I'm just capturing one tiny small bit of it as it moved in. And once it hit, we didn't get the 100-mile-an-hour winds, thank God. But I think we were at, was it 67 mile an hour was what it was recorded in St. Joseph. So it was intense. It was pretty fun. I was live broadcasting during it. I just had a blast with that. And then a few days later, ended up in Grand Rapids with some friends. I kind of did this, met up with a photo meetup. A person in the chat here, Shelly, she decided to throw it out there to Instagram to see if anybody wanted to meet up and shoot. And we had a couple people show up and just walked around. So the next shot was from that day, and that's just walking around with the Pen F. I miss shooting with that camera. It's such a treat to walk around with. So this was with the Pen F and the 17 millimeter f1.2. I was kind of showing off doing this shot. I understand what the 17 millimeter is going to give me as far as what's going to fit in the frame based on where I'm at in relationship to my subject. So I just went around for half the day with the camera turned in portrait mode, just hanging at my hip or just walking with it up high like this. I'd get beside a subject. I just pop a photo. I just keep on walking. And Brian Essler, another viewer and friend, he lives in Grand Rapids. He was there, and Shelly in the chat room was there, and they're just like, "How do you know what you're getting?" I'm like, "I just do." And I turn the camera and show them. But it just shows you the importance of repeated use of a specific type of gear. You just get super comfortable with that. So again, just walking by, didn't stop, didn't pose the shot. I just walked by, held the camera up as I was walking by. And I always have this thing where I'm step, foot's up in the air, boom, take the picture before the foot hits the ground. So it's nice and stable, uninterrupted. And that's just what this was. It's, I guess, the homeless thinker. I'm not sure. I just kind of dig it. And this is a straight out of the camera. One of my custom black and white profiles on the Pen F.
Nice.
Same with this one, Pen F, but this is with the 45 mil f1.2. It was just fun watching these, kids. They had already walked by us once, and they were just kind of a unique set of kids. And then when I saw them turn around and start coming back, I'm like, all right, I got to get these guys because they're all talking and having fun. And Bob is telling you if you share the screen, you should be good. So these kids were coming back, and I was just really intrigued by the girls' stockings because they have cats on them, and on the back side of them, it's a tail. So I was just paying attention to the two girls laughing when I shot it. And then when I got home, pulled them into Lightroom, I looked, I'm like, oh, the dude on the right looks pretty pissed off. And that totally makes it for me because it's such a complete polar difference between his attitude and mood versus the two girls. And this is, again, just the vintage art filter in the Pen F. So no post-processing with this one either. Last two photos, I'll go through those really quick. I know I'm long-winded. So this was shot just a couple of days ago. I got my hands on some new gear from Vanguard, and I'll talk about one of those pieces of gear here in a second. And I just wanted to get it back out into the field and do some more testing with it. And this is actually across the street from the barn that I used to shoot all the time. I knew that the person who owns this property has seeded it with wildflowers. So I try to go back every summer at the end of summer to shoot the wildflowers, and thought it'd be a great spot to take the tripod. So this is out there with the EM1X and the 7 to 14. I'm using H&Y filters. And this is their reverse graduated neutral density filter on that, as well as their holder for the 7-14, which is a superior holder for that lens if anyone's looking. And this is what I was testing out. So this is Vanguard's. It's kind of a revamp on the Alta line of tripods. This is their. So they've had two lines, the Alta and the VEO. The VEO tended to be not quite as, I'd say, robust as far as feature sets are concerned as the Alta was, the Alta Pro 2. And the Alta Pro 2 is the one that had the articulating head like this one does. But now the VEO, they revamped that line. And this is the VEO3 Plus. And they completely redesigned the entire tripod from the ground up. Everything is so different about this tripod. And you can see from the picture here, all the hardware is 100% different. All the knobs on the ball head are not just, standard round knobs. They actually have like a toggle to them. Very beautiful brushed finish and everything. It's very ergonomic in its use. And the way that the articulating head is, it works, it's a little bit different as well. It's much easier to use and comes with a really cool accessory kit, which I'm not showing in this photo. But the other end of the center column off to the right of the frame, you can actually mount another camera or a monitor or a light or some other component on the other end of the tripod.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's really cool. I'm going to use that for the video portion of the review that I'm doing for this tripod. I'm actually going to put a camera on that other end, swivel it so it's facing the other camera so I can shoot video and then kind of narrate and go over the functions of the tripod. It's pretty rad. So
I have a question.
Yeah, fire away, man.
The VEO2 I left in your car.
Yeah, I still got it.
Is that a lot? That looks a lot bigger than that one.
Yeah, so
is that more like the Alta Pro?
This is, definitely the same size as the Alta.
Okay.
Pro.
Okay.
The legs are shaped a little bit different. The Alta Pro had like that flattened profile at the top, and these are more of a standard. And some of the other features on it too that I'll just talk about really quick. It's got one of the things that Mi Photo did years and years ago, and I'm sure other manufacturers do, but I hadn't seen it on a Vanguard line yet, and that was the ability to disassemble and take one of the legs off of the tripod
and use it as monopod.
Yes.
Nice.
That's great. And I used that actually a fair amount with the Mi Photo gear.
Right.
Especially if I know I just bring that one tripod, and if I know I'm going to be somewhere like just taking a walk in the woods, I usually turn the monopod into a walking stick.
I want one of those for my night street stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it would come in super handy for that, for sure.
Because those exposures aren't very long. 4 or 5 seconds. I don't need a tripod for that.
Right. And then a few other improvements you might be able to see in the photo maybe, or I can show it here. I'll just click the screen share now, and I've got the tripod right here so I can talk about it for a split second without hogging all the time. But so what I like about this, and I encourage people to follow Mike Motes. He's a Michigan photographer. He's super well known for macro photography. And he's also a Vanguard ambassador, but he did a video and he was talking about one of the things he likes that I agree and I totally like. And that's this release button for the legs. So let me turn it so you can kind of see that one right there.
When you push it in, it unlocks them?
Yeah. So that's how you unlock the legs. Usually on a tripod, it's this locking mechanism. You have to like push that in and try to pull it up, which always seemed to be a little clunky to me. So now it's just you push the button in and pull the leg out and let it lock into place.
Are they going to make small ones like that, like the VEO2?
So I'll inquire about that because I hope they do, because this is a big tripod. This isn't your travel tripod. This is a full size tripod, and this is the aluminum version. They have a carbon fiber version that I haven't seen yet. But again, if it's built anything like this, it's going to be an astounding tripod to use.
Right.
And the last thing I'll talk about really quick, I don't want this to be a full-blown commercial for Vanguard at this point, but so this toggle right here for locking and unlocking the center column so that you can flip it down. I like that a lot better than the previous way that you did it on Vanguard. So this one actually has a lock on it. So you undo the lock and then pull the toggle out, and then you flip the center column over. And then when you get it where you want it, it just locks back into place. And then you have to pull the orange locking knob. I know this isn't the best way to show this off on a podcast, and you hear it click back into place and lock. But I do have a video review coming. I cranked out set that down. I cranked out a written review, and you can swing over to my website, jmacdonaldphoto.com. Go over to the blog section. You can read about it there. But again, stay tuned for more of a video review in the near future. Jerry went all black.
Yo, what?
I was wondering if your battery died.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Here we go with this mess again, dude. Whatever.
Thanks, Bob. I didn't finish Mike Motz's his video review. I got a part way into it, and it's good to know that they do have a four segment leg version coming out. Appreciate that. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know what to do now. Jerry's sucking on a candy cane, and we got that crazy profile picture. I do want to take a minute though while you're figuring that out. I have to give a humongous shout out to my buddy Seth. Seth revamped the Mirrorless Minutes logo. I'm sure you've seen it on the Facebook page, or you see it in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. So I went out and got business cards done using the caricature that Seth created for the show, and we went out and bought a whole bunch of stickers as well. So if we run into you in the streets and you want a sticker, I'll give everybody a sticker for being such a great fan. All right. I don't know. It looks like we've lost Jerry. Do you want to just say that this is end of the show?
We'll just say I turned off the lights.
Yeah. Jerry's trying to set the mood, everybody.
That's right. I don't know what's going on. I can't get my camera to come back, dude.
All right. So I guess we'll call this the end of the episode. We just won't see Jerry waving goodbye. We'll just have to take his word for it that he's really doing that. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for the next episode. And the next episode, I think we're going to try to do what we did tonight, but we're going to do it with me. And that feels really weird to say that I'm going to be here talking about myself. But again, like I said, I've been spending a lot of time digging into the analytics of our podcast, the audio version. And we have a lot of people that listen that I know we don't see here on the video version, and that probably don't know us as well as a lot of you who are watching live do, or have not been followers for very long. So I'd like to make introduction of myself as well, and let them get to know a little bit more about me. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. If you guys know me and you don't want to hear me talk about myself, I don't blame you if you don't tune in, but maybe I'll have a little tidbit you haven't heard before, a little juicy tidbit or little information nobody knows yet. But until then, you guys take care. Thanks for watching as always, and I'm really looking forward to the day when this COVID garbage is gone and we can meet up and go shoot together. But until then, you guys take care. See ya.
Peace.